Okay. Finally, that was just a headache. So my internet wouldn't go live. I had to go to my phone, reset my computer and everything, and I'm finally live. Okay. So today we're going to talk about today's day 12 of our boot camp, and we're going to talk about cross, right? Because a lot of Christians fully understand the cross, and so they don't. That kind of hinders their ability to walk in the authority and walk in the things that God gave to us, right? The authority is at the cross, right? So let's start off with some scriptures, right? Because that always helps drill things in so you guys have a understanding, okay? Um, so John 19:30. Oh, I'll just give you guys the scriptures for meditation, okay? Because I remember you guys told me that it's kind of overwhelming when I do it that way. So I won't give it to you here. I'll just put it in your emails for you guys to have these scriptures to meditate on. So, okay, so a little brief history, right, on just the Bible, right? So when we look at the Old Testament, God gives us an Old Testament. And in the Old Testament, He created man and female, created Adam and Eve. A series of unfortunate events, of course. They made some mistakes and sinned against God, right, through rebellion, right, through disobedience. And they went ahead and partook of the fruit from the tree they weren't supposed to take part of, right? To where the ownership of what God had created and gave to Adam got transferred over to the enemy. Okay, just in case you guys don't know this backstory, got transferred over to the enemy. Okay, so under the enemy's rule, because he now owned the earth and things in it because of the disobedience of Adam and Eve. And so with his authority, he used it to oppress the people of God, right? And we see that oppression all the way, from Genesis all the way until now. The oppression is still there. Okay, so and I think when you look in the past or in the Old Testament, you think of what happened in Egypt, and that's the most people kind of stop right there. They were, the Israelites, of course, were extremely oppressed by the enemy in Egypt, right? Because whatever you give dominion to has authority over you. Whatever you let rule you has authority over you. Okay, so of course, and let me skip. I'm skipping some of the history. Okay, so God created His own people. He needed someone to open the door to let Him get in, so that He could, save mankind again. And He found that through Abraham, right? So He made Abraham lots of promises for him to fulfill, the calling upon his life. And of course, at times he became doubtful because things took a while or whatever. But ultimately, he succeeded, and through his obedience, his obedience and lineage, we get David, and then through David's lineage and things like that, which is all along, we get Jesus. But when we look at the oppression that happens, right, because the kingdom gets split because of some things that happen between David and God doesn't punish everything on David. He kind of punishes it on his kids, so on his kids. And so we see like in the books of Samuel's and then Kings, we start to see that kind of play itself out when we have Solomon on the scene, right? Because David is Solomon is the son of David, and his life goes the way that it goes somewhat because of David's problems. The lust that he has kind of trickles down. And then we have Solomon, who's so lustful to where God splits the kingdom under his son. Okay, so we have one kingdom of God. We have supposed to have the Israelites, but they get separated into two separate kingdoms and they start fighting against themselves, as you see in the book of Kings. Okay, and then so since they're so scattered and so divided, God lets them be conquered by other nations, and they're conquered so tough to where they get conquered by Rome. Okay, so when you look in the what is the book of Daniel, and you look at Revelation, it talks about those dreams, and I saw these beasts, and one beast was worse than the rest of them. He trampled everything under his feet, and and we understand that to be the rule of the kingdom that ruled over the Israel, right? That ruled over the world, right? Babylon all the way down to Rome. Okay, and so under Rome.